The Collins Wellington Estate, an architectural gem in San Diego, presents a Spanish Revival castle built in 1928 by H.A. Collins. Nestled atop a private hill amidst a sprawling 8 acres of developmentable land, this estate offers a rare combination of seclusion, grandeur, and historical significance.
Okay, today here on September the 21st, about 3:30 this afternoon, Ignacio and myself decided to go on a journey like Bert and Ernie, and we came to 3600 Paradise Valley Road and had an amazing time seeing a wonderful, beautiful piece of history. We really had a good time and hope you all enjoy it.
Yeah, my name is Brian Clapper. I'm with the National Historical Society.
Hi.
And we're here to see your beautiful house. And growing up in this area, it was an adventure to come here and visit here. We'd like to have you just tell us a little bit about the history of the house. Start by with your name. Give us your name and tell us whatever you know about the house or whatever you feel like telling us.
Okay. So my name is Peter, and I love good architecture. I also like big spaces. And it's, I think, a bit of a misnomer to call this a house. It's actually a castle, and a special kind of castle. It's a replica of a royal castle, such as you would find in Spain. And royal castles are not merely residences. They're certainly not merely private residences. They are meant for public entertaining of other royal guests. So they would typically have, in Spain, a large ballroom, a large banquet hall, and that sort of thing. And that's what's been replicated here. So this happens to have 4 bedrooms and a little loft upstairs. But the main thing is that they're public rooms that are absolutely huge and extremely specialized in terms of the architecture. So there's a giant ballroom where 100 people could be dancing. There is a musician's balcony overlooking the ballroom where you would have live musicians playing for the dancers. Then this is what we're standing in right now, is the entrance foyer, which, as you can see, has castle walls. In other words, this is a true imitation of what castle walls would be like. You'll also notice here already in the foyer that we have the theme from Spanish castles of arches everywhere, repeating arches. And we will see that in the windows, in the little doors, and also in the stone arches that we see right in the foyer here. The other feature inherited from Spanish castles is the wrought ironwork, which is very intricate. You can see a little bit of it in this staircase right here. It's more remarkable in the front doors, where there's both an inner door and an outer door, which have different, very intricate wrought iron designs. So that gives us a feeling of delicacy and complexity. We're not just dealing with simple stone castle walls here. We have the enrichment by arches and wrought iron patterns. The other interesting thing is that every one of these public rooms has a different theme, different floor designs, different wall designs, different ceiling designs. So the foyer looks like a castle, but the other rooms do not have the same stone walls like this. Instead, they have plaster walls with different plaster patterns, different kinds of flooring, and different kinds of ceilings. And if we can walk over here for a second, this is adjacent to the foyer, and we call this our little den. And what you can see is that the pavers on the floor have a different pattern than they did in the foyer. We have the brickwork here. And then if you look up at the ceiling, that's entirely hand painted. So someone lay on his back, just like Michelangelo did when he painted, I guess it was the Sistine Chapel. And it's all hand painted. If you look closely, you'll see that every one of those patterns is subtly different from the other one, which is, of course, a testament to the fact that he literally hand-painted it, not even using a template or a guide. Then we go through here. This is the banquet hall where you could feed 100 people. And as you can see, it's different from the other rooms. It has a different plaster design on the walls, different design for the beam ceilings, and the most incredible floor you can imagine. This is solid inlaid onyx. And it was laid and then ground to a precise level thing. And it's so fascinating because onyx, as you may know, has a rich variety of colors in it and a rich variety of patterns. But to see, the room is, I think, 25 by 35 feet long, and to see a room that big with totally inlaid onyx floor is just unheard of. But this is the dining hall. And then if you look down this way, you can see two swinging doors. So just like in a resort hotel, you would have the kitchen, which is a huge commercial style kitchen, feeding all the diners in this room, and they would come through the swinging doors there.
So, Peter, this house was built in 1928?
Right. And so it benefited from the fact that that was the Roaring '20s. And at that time, people had an awful lot of money to spend. And one of the reasons that this has not only spectacular architecture, but also extremely high quality materials like the solid onyx floor is thanks to the fact that in the Roaring '20s, when this was built, people had a lot of money to spend. And the architect who was commissioned to design this obviously hired some of the very best craftsmen he could to build this place.
And to your knowledge, Peter, who have been the owners that you know?
Well, the original man who actually commissioned this for the architect, his name was Mr. Collins, and I think he commissioned it in 1926, and it was completed in 1928. He was very elderly, and he passed away shortly thereafter. And then sometime, I think in the 1930s, a well-known family called Wellington bought the place, and they were here probably for about 20 years and raised their children here. We ourselves bought the place in the year 2000, so we've had it for 24 years, and we raised our children here, and of course our grandchildren have come to visit now here too.
Amazing. Where did your children go to school? Down the street?
This is the small breakfast nook, and above here is the castle tower. Every castle needs a tower, of course, and this tower actually has an observation deck all the way on top. And this is the huge commercial kitchen. You can probably pan your camera around if you want to see all the different angles you can see from it.
And I heard you telling the lady that you did some work in here.
We did a lot of work in here. This was originally designed for servants to be working, and nowadays the kitchen is much more of a social center, and we completely redesigned the kitchen here so that it could serve as a social center. You could have 20 people drinking wine and conversing even while they prepared food. But there's obviously space here for the ability to prepare food for the 100 diners out there. But just for example, this island is all new. We took out a wall that was here, and so that makes this whole place much bigger and much more light. And of course, there's a skylight there which brings light into the whole kitchen area. And then finally, let's walk over to the ballroom, retrace our steps here.
Well, you know, growing up, Peter, what we call this the mansion.
Right. Okay, we're videoing.
Almost done.
Yeah, if anything else comes up, I'll let you know. Let me call you back. Yeah.
Okay, notice the arches and notice how they're repeating arches as you go into the ballroom. Also notice that you have little arches off to the side, so you have arches within arches.
Are all of the door frames arches?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you
I
see
think
that
in most,
everywhere.
about
right?
90% of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the telephone room. That's the Art Deco linoleum pattern that I told you about.
Mhm.
I don't know, you might want to point your camera in there.
Telephone room, huh?
Uh-huh. Right. Now, in those days, they had the two-piece telephone.
Right.
So when there was a loud party going on and a lot of dancing with music, you needed to shut the door and to be able to hear what was going on in the telephone room.
Makes sense to me.
So here's the giant ballroom. And again, the plaster on the wall has a different design. And this is an incredible space. While we lived here, this served as my music room. My business, I'm a research scientist and I work with music. And so this was where I had my music system. And it's just a wonderful acoustic space. Obviously, it was an acoustic space back when it was a ballroom also. And above you here is a balcony where live musicians would play for the dancers below here. You'll notice, for instance, this spectacular hanging, it's not, you wouldn't call it a chandelier, but it's really spectacular. We even put in those little Edison light bulbs to simulate what the lighting would be in the old days when this castle was built. And it's interesting that when night falls, we have the lighting set up so that you can have the bright lights here illuminating the whole bedroom, or you can have just these little Edison light bulbs with a glow, and all of a sudden this room takes on a wonderful little mysterious glow. That's a whole different feeling, very relaxing. We've done the same thing with in the dining room. I didn't really show you, but in the little archways we have little subtle lighting, and if we only turn on the subtle lighting and not the big lights, again, there's an evening mood, which is really very relaxing. This is a pretty spectacular fireplace. It incorporates tiles that are made by Batchelder, who was a famous tile maker back in the time. And likewise, you saw the colorful tiles on the stairway where we started the video. Those are also made by a very famous tile work maker. And interestingly enough, if you look in downtown San Diego at the Santa Fe Railroad Terminal, it has spectacular colorful tile work made by exactly the same factory that made the tiles for this stairway here.
I know what you're talking about.
And also out in the courtyard, there are planters that have the same color tiles also around them. So this is also interesting. Remember I mentioned that even though this is a replica of Spanish castles, the theme of Spanish castles, arches and wrought iron and things of that sort, yes, you see that repeated, but there's also an homage in several places to the Art Deco era in which this castle was actually built contemporaneously. Additionally, there's also another interesting homage here. The arches and the wrought iron work that we see here from the Spanish castle design back in Spain actually originated when the Moors from Africa were controlling Spain, or at least the lower part of Spain. And they brought with them a highly civilized Arab culture of the time. And I think this was around the 1300s. But at that time, Europe, the rest of Europe, was stuck in the Dark Ages. However, I think it was the 1400s to 1500s, Europe all of a sudden began what's called the Renaissance, in which there was a whole new era of culture, art, and things of that sort. The birthplace of all that Renaissance that then has spread throughout the world and which we still cherish to this day, the birthplace was Florence, Italy. Now, as you may know, in Europe, every city has one major, huge cathedral that is dominant above all the other churches in that city. In Florence, the cathedral is called the Duomo. And interestingly enough, when the Duomo was built, and again, this is the time of the very birthplace of the Renaissance, when it was built, they commissioned local sculptors to sculpt different decorative things for the cathedral. Well, if you go to the cathedral in Florence, again, this is where the Renaissance all began, you'll see that one of the carvings is 12 panels done by a sculptor called Della Robbia. There were 12 panels to this day on that cathedral, and here above our fireplace are 3 of those panels. So this is a definite homage to the birthplace of the Renaissance.
Wow. Good stuff.
So I think that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you, Peter. We appreciate it. Pretty nice.
When was it built, Brian?
28.
1928?
1928, that's what they said. Look at the ceiling. That's kind of like plaster. Here it is over here too. It's almost like 2 houses. I think. See that this was the main quarter.
Here?
Right here. Look at this. Own little bathroom, shower. And you can keep the rest of the house clean and do the yard work.
It's like their version of the mud room. It's like their mud room.
Well, kind of like a lunch room, but kind of like a maid's room where they can live here and take care of the place and
Yeah.
keep out of your way. Look at here, here's the bathroom. Now see, this is a master bathroom. This is the version, look at this master bathroom from years ago. It's awesome. Isn't that too cool?
Super cool. It's almost as old as the Titanic by like 10 years difference.
Yeah. 10 years older,
Yeah.
Titanic was built what,
1912?
2012?
Uh-huh.
And look at this door. You know how tough this door was to make? That was a bitch. Check out these seats too. This is like too cool. Your own tub and then a little shower, little tiny bathroom.
Yep.
Can you believe it? I can't believe it, Ignacio. And this has been 68 years since I've been here. And I've never been inside.
That's why you're like, let's go. We gotta go check this out, man.
You gotta go in, man. What's wrong with that? It was a worthwhile trip, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
This could go on our video.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'll edit it. I'll make sure we have it.
Because this was built in 28.
Yeah. Yeah, it's old. It's amazing history. I wonder how many owners.
That would,
Maybe just the original owner and the,
it would really be good to Google.
I know, right?
Are you pretty techie?
Yeah.
Google, 3600 Paradise Valley.
Does the house have a name? Usually mansions like this, they have a name.
The owner's in there.
I know, right? We'll ask them right now.
Look at these hinges. That's like bullet hinges or something.
They don't make them like that anymore.
Too much. Not so. And the floors are prestigious.
Yeah.
And Look at the view. Hey, dude, look at this. You can take a video out here. Shit, you can see downtown San Diego.
Wow.
Look at that, and look at out the front. Out the front, you can see Hawaii. Look at that. That's crazy. Where'd you park?
On that side.
Yeah, I stayed down on the bottom because I was scared to get up in here.
Yeah, me too. I made a mistake, man.
Huh?
I made a mistake. I'm gonna try to back up, see how it goes.
This is crazy, dude. I think I've seen it up.
Have you been upstairs?
No.
Let's go check it out.
I think you're so
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Little room. Did you see the little room?
little kids going there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, like a little loft.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
All right, today we're finishing up an interview at 3600 Paradise Valley Road. Just finishing this interview with the owner, Peter. Got some really neat information. Built in 1928, an amazing, amazing time. Ignacio and I had a great time. See you next time.